Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and today we're getting a look at the Bestech Imp. Alright guys, so what do we get with the Imp? We get a closed length 3.68, handle thickness of 0.47, a closed height of 1.3, and we get some very nicely inlaid carbon fiber. On this version, there's also an all-titanium version, and there's also another version that is titanium that's been anodized. You get a back spacer on the back side here with a little jimping on it, and this one happens to be, that's backwards, number 86 of 100. We have indexing points here for your finger to fall into after flipping it open. We got a flipper tab with a little bit of not terribly rough jimping. It looks meaner than it is, believe me. And just some very nice design flourish. If you look at the model that has the anodizing on it, they have color, they've anodized all this one color, and then they've anodized these areas a different color, and man, it just looks really nice. They've done a really nice job, and this one has some funny stuff on here because I've carried it quite a bit. Got a very nice pocket clip. It is tip up, right hand only. And we're using stainless screws. We still have the proprietary pivot, and it is still a free spinning pivot. And there you have to use I don't know if a dime will fit in there, but I have used very small screwdrivers, 5-blade screwdrivers. So the carbon fiber inlay is just gorgeous. They have done one heck of a job with that, and the milling on it, very nice. Our little blade is once again that Bestech finish that is a belt finish, but man is it shiny. And we've got a nice swedge right up there, and then a stone wash up there at the top and down through here. Very nice. And we'll get our comparisons out of the way, then we'll get all the specs on that blade. So we need some small knives, don't we? Whew. Here is the Lion Steel round head Kaiser Feist. And let's get a look at the knife that this will probably be most compared to. Here is our CRKT pillar from Jasper Vonay's and CRKT. Now this one does have a Stazza 23 carbon fiber scale on it, very nicely done. But the pillar has more blade, a thicker blade stock, and weighs a bunch more, and I do mean a bunch. This Imp weighs 2.47 ounces, or just a bit over 70 grams. Very lightweight little knife for its construction materials. Bearings, no bearings. I mean, both of them very nice knives, but the Bestech, of course, because it costs quite a bit more, kicks the pillar's butt in just about every metric except for maybe size and hand, because this handle is a little bit thicker. But that is your direct comparison with the pillar, and we'll get it out of the way and we'll talk a little more about this blade. We're at 1.55 inches for blade length and 1.5 inches for edge length. We got this big choil up here made out of S35VN. We got Imp listed there and Bestech on this side. Overall, guys, the grinds on the blade are beautiful. They executed the edge termination at both ends very well. Swedged up here at the top, looks really nice. It is a fingerprint magnet. Only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the printing of the Imp on the blade, the way they did that. I don't know where else they would have put it, or maybe they could have skipped it, but overall the blade is very nice. And from here, let's move on to our pause and read card, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, mechanically, what do we get? Well, as with all of the small Bestech knives, you get a lock bar insert, hardened steel ceramic ball bearing, ceramic detent, backing washers, I believe, in this one, and all of the normal good stuff you would expect to find in a full-size modern folder. And it all works marvelously, even with that tiny little blade. So mechanically, everything's in great shape. Let's look at the screws real quick. There is our Weehaw driver, and there's that screw for the lock bar insert. It's pretty tight. And there's one of the body screws, still pretty tight. Do one more. Oop, that was on me. Find our Weehaw again, and still pretty tight. This particular knife with those screws, that's in A- category. Why is it not an A+ category? Because they have to deal with Hinderer and Wee. And Hinderer and Wee make what I'm going to consider some of the best hardware in the industry. Now, interestingly enough, both of those companies make their absolute own hardware, and that's one of the things that if you talk to those companies, they'll tell you that they make their own hardware so that they can control those things. But if you can't make your own hardware, you need to go talk to Bestech and find out where they're buying their screws, because they're buying good ones. So mechanically, this guy is great. Let's look at the lockup. Lockup is, I don't know, it's probably 20-25%. It's hard to see down in there, but pretty good. Now let's move to ergonomics. And ergonomically, we've got this jimping here, big forward finger choil, and we've got a grip length from here to here of 2.55 inches, or from here to here. But whenever we include the finger choil, we go to a grip length of 3.53. So let's get a look at it both ways. Here, it's just barely a 3-finger knife, just barely. And it's not really comfortable. It just isn't. It's not designed to be held this way, so we're not going to do it. Now, if you needed to do a draw cut with this little B blade, you could do it. It's not designed for it, but you could do it. You need to do a push cut with this little B blade, you could do it. Now, you need to shred that box on the way home. That blade is definitely not designed for that. But if you held it back here, you've got enough purchase with your fingers to do it. Now, your thumb is going to be a problem. However, if you're making hacking and slashing cuts to shred up that box, you'll be okay. Piercing cuts, well, the blade's not designed for it, and your thumb's pretty close to where you're going to be piercing at, so may not be the greatest thing, but that's not the design of this knife, not what it's for. But it does allow for some amount of box shredding, evil box shredding that is, if necessary, even though it's not the greatest tool for it. And whenever you move your index finger up here, this knife just becomes right. Right in so many ways. Your hand fits good. You got a full 4-finger grip on that guy. And your thumb lays right down in this, and you are good to go to cut whatever you need to cut. And for there, it's absolutely excellent, which of course means that your draw cuts and your push cuts are going to be fine. Reverse grip, I mean, if you want to put your pinky finger in that choil, a reverse grip's pretty good. And I don't know why you do that with a small knife, but I'm sure somebody's going to. And of course, your pinch grips are going to work out surprisingly well on this little guy. So let's get it in the pocket and then gather things up, because there's one design aspect we didn't talk about at all, and it is kind of the elephant in the room. But get this guy down in the pocket, and if you were to carry it like this, you're in good shape. You got your lanyard hole sticking up. You don't have too terrible much knife sticking up, but enough to get a hold of. And in regular jeans, you're going to have plenty of depth. Now, I have not tried it, because I generally would carry this as a floater, but there's probably enough spring and enough distance under that clip that you can get it in most all of your work pants and your tactical pants. Why you would clip it to your pocket, such a small knife, I don't know. You know, maybe you're in a place where you need a knife that small, but it will work, I do believe. Now, elephant in the room that we haven't talked about. Whenever you close this knife, this breaks a rule. Oh my God, does it break a rule. You see that? See all that wasted space down there at the end of the knife? I have to bring it up because I'm a knife reviewer, and if I don't bring it up, somebody is going to excoriate me down in the comments. Eviscerate, maybe. But here's the thing. They gave you a beautiful little blade. And instead of shortening up the handle to make it fit that little blade, they left that handle sticking out there. And there's going to be some people that aren't going to like that. But what that does is it lets you get that full grip on the knife. So it breaks every knife reviewer's rule ever, and I love it. Because it lets me get a full grip on this tiny little knife. A knife that only weighs 2.47 ounces. And I can get a full grip on it, and I've got a beautiful blade, one of my favorite blade shapes, nice swedging. There you go. Let's gather it all up and see what Bestech has for us here. They've got beautiful carbon fiber inlay. That is a huge plus for this knife. They've got all titanium, well done on their backspacer. Even gave you a lanyard hole. Now, I'm pretty sure you could stuff some cord through. Excellent machining, and that is really accentuated on the model that's anodized, and even machined the carbon fiber to match, and literally match if you can get a good look right there. That is beautiful. They've given you all the normal stuff you would see on a full-size modern folding knife, all your ceramic bearings, detents, lock bar insert. It's centered up well, flips well, even falls shut with just a little bit of assistance. I mean, it's not a guillotine, but it does fall shut, and it is just a beautiful little knife, and they've given you a full grip on it with that forward finger choil and this radius right here that's jimped up, and it's not jimped up enough to cut your finger up, just enough to get a good grip on it. They've given you a beautiful blade. The only place I can cut this knife, and I don't want to, and I'm not going to, but the only place you might cut this knife is that they could have put some more blade in it. And that's obvious because the next knife we're going to look at is the Goblin, and it's the same handle with more blade. Anyhow, guys, this has been the Bestech Imp, and wow. For me, for small knives this year, there's only one knife that runs ahead of this guy, and we're going to look at it next. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am getting better, slowly but surely, and you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.